Wow, man, what a Thursday night football game. The Houston Texans get to 6-5, have completely revived their season with a 23-19 victory over the Buffalo Bills. Houston, man, what a story this team is turning out to be. They opened up the season 0-3. They now sit at 6-5, 6-2 in their last 8 games, and they've won 3 in a row with a backup quarterback, man. And I think the story of this game and the story of this Texans season is that they have the best defense in the entire NFL, man. Coming into this game, they allowed the least amount of yards per game. They allowed the least amount of points per game. They have perhaps the best pass rusher duo in the sport in Will Anderson Jr., who is a top 5 edge rusher, and Danielle Hunter. And that was the story of this game as well, because I haven't seen Josh Allen have fits like this, well, since he played the Houston Texans last year. I mentioned it in the preview video. If the Texans were going to win this game, it was going to be because their defense was able to get after Josh Allen, and boy, did they. Allen was sacked 8 times in this game. Josh Allen hasn't been sacked 5 times since 2023, I believe. And it was 8 times in this game. They had 12 quarterback hits, 5 pass deflections, 11 tackles for losses. This defense was all over the freaking field tonight, man. This Texans defense is absolutely special, and I think it has an opportunity to statistically be one of, if not the best defense since the Seattle Seahawks Legion of Boom. Now, Denver's probably coming for that sack record, but what Houston is doing in terms of yards allowed per game and points per game, their defense is stingy and does not let you move the ball. And Buffalo, even with the reigning MVP at quarterback, was no match for them. Will Anderson Jr., top performer of the night, 2.5 sacks, 1 pass deflection, 6 tackles. Will Anderson Jr. was my pick to be the Defensive Player of the Year coming into this season, and if Myles Garrett wasn't a freak of nature that he is, I think Waj is certainly up there competing for this award right now. He's now has over double-digit sacks on the year. He has a sack in, I believe, 6 straight games, so he's really getting rolling, and I truthfully believe this. Swear, not an overreaction. I said it before the game. Will Anderson Jr. is a top 5 edge rusher in the sport, and if I was given the opportunity today, I would take him over Micah Parsons. I'm dead serious, and I dead mean that. The Houston Texans defense is special, and he is the best player on that defense. By the way, though, Danielle Hunter, no slouch either. What did he have, 2 sacks tonight? I believe he's had 2 sacks, 3 sacks, and then now 2 sacks tonight. I think that's the Texans' record for most sacks in a 3-game span. And yes, the Houston Texans, who J.J. Watt, one of the greatest defensive players of all time, played for. That's how special this defense is right now. We haven't even mentioned Derek Stingley Jr., who's a top 2 corner in football. Kalen Bullock tonight, 2 interceptions on Josh Allen. The first one, tip drill, Bullock. Texans fans know. NFL fans will learn. This is a guy who's all over the field. And no different tonight. No different tonight. Really, really special stuff from this Houston Texans defense. And when you look at the Houston Texans now from a macro standpoint, this is, and I'm not being hyperbolic, one of the most dangerous teams in the entire AFC. And there's a couple reasons for that. You know, I don't mean to keep just going to town on the defense and, you know, giving them the glaze treatment there, but anytime you have the best defense in the NFL, a game like this could happen. A game like this could happen where that defense throws it off the rails and there's just nothing even superstar elite quarterbacks could do. We saw it happen to Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl last year. There was just nothing he could do. There was nothing Josh Allen could do in this game tonight. The Texans defense wouldn't allow it. But also their offense. It's not a coincidence that the offense has gotten better in the last month. It's not a Davis Mills thing, man. CJ Stroud's going to come back and be more accurate than Mills. There was a couple balls Mills started the game 1 for 8, missed 2 open receivers. Jaden Higgins might have had a long touchdown early on in this game. CJ Stroud's hitting that throw. This Nick Caley offensive scheme, it's taken a little bit of time to grow, but they're starting to figure it out. This young offensive line that had a lot of mixed match pieces that people didn't know where it was going to go is starting to figure it out. Woody Marks is stepping up in the absence of Joe Mixon and looking like a legit back for this team. Pair that with a returning CJ Stroud next week, because I think, especially with 10 days rest now, he'll be back next Sunday. Pair that with that, along with Nico Collins, along with Jaden Higgins getting into a role, Noel, Christian Kirk, Schultz, an offensive line that's actually giving good pass protection. Did you see the pockets that Davis Mills was working with from time to time tonight? I haven't seen Texans offensive line give that kind of blocking in CJ Stroud's entire tenure with the team. This team is dangerous, and they need to be respected as a real threat. I was super high on this team coming into the season. I projected them to take that jump to be legit Super Bowl contenders. And I'm not saying that we're going to get that far, because I do think that some of their weapons outside of Nico Collins do still need to take a step further. And I do think that in must-run situations, the run blocking from their offensive line, 3rd and 1s, 4th and 1s, etc., goal line situations, they're not up to par where they need to be. There's clear flaws, but the team is clearly not the 0-3 team that started the year. The team is clearly a legit playoff caliber team. And the win tonight has given the Texans a ton of momentum going forward. They still have 2 games versus the Colts. They still have a game versus Kansas City, a game versus the Chargers. They've already beaten Baltimore in a head-to-head. They've beaten Buffalo now in a head-to-head. The Houston Texans' fate for the playoffs, their destiny is in their own hands, and they are getting hot at the right time. There's always a team in the middle of the season that kind of catapults and gets dangerous. That team this year is the Houston Texans. For the Buffalo Bills side of things, the Buffalo Bills, I tweeted it out. If you're not following me over on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, I feel like I'm a good follow. Live tweet during the games. The Buffalo Bills are one of the toughest teams to gauge, have an opinion on in the NFL right now. A couple weeks ago, we see them beat Kansas City. It was a 1-score game, but it felt pretty convincingly. Then we see them lose to Miami, get absolutely boat raced. I mean, Miami made them look bad. But then last week, they played Tampa. Josh Allen, 6 total touchdowns. Looks like the frickin' MVP of the league, potentially. Tonight, go to Houston, and everything I said about Houston's defense is true, but if you are the Buffalo Bills and you are led by Josh Allen and you are looking for real aspirations to still win the AFC East, to be a 1 seed, go win a Super Bowl, you have to be able to beat backup quarterbacks on the road, regardless of how good the defense is. And they couldn't do that tonight. And James Cook was 17 for 116, averaged 6.8 a carry and had a touchdown. Khalil Shakur, 8 for 110 on 10 targets. I don't know what the hell is going on with Keon Coleman, but they don't have a single reliable receiving option outside of Khalil Shakur right now, and I refuse to believe that Elijah Moore, Josh Palmer, Gabe Davis are all better options than Keon Coleman. I'm not saying he's going to one day live up to the expectation of becoming the wide receiver 1 for this team, but those guys aren't it. Buffalo doesn't have separators in the wide receiver spot. Shakir made a lot of big plays, and truthfully, the Bills were lucky to be in a position at the end of the game to win. If it wasn't for a 4th and 27 hook and ladder play that, don't get me wrong, they executed beautifully, and they also had a kickoff return touchdown in this game. Like, a lot of things went Buffalo's way to be in this game. You take away the 7 points from that kickoff return touchdown, Where are we at? James Cook, his one touchdown came on an explosive 45-yard run, which credit to Buffalo. Gilliam with a nice block on that play. Like, they well deserved that play. And I do think when Buffalo is humming, they are the best rushing attack in football this season. But they're a team that, when trailing in a football game and can no longer rely on the run, struggles. I mean, I haven't seen the Bills offensive line struggle like this in a minute, and I think that that is like a credit to the Houston Texans defense. I don't think that that's something that's likely to happen to Buffalo time after time. But when you look at Buffalo, it's hard to be confident in them as legit Super Bowl contenders following their recent play, but it's also hard to look at them having a quarterback like Josh Allen and see that they're going to be going against Bo Nix or Daniel Jones potentially on the road and be like, yeah, I'm taking those guys. But Buffalo hasn't given you consistent play all season, and that didn't change in this game tonight, man. Hell of a game. A really fun Thursday night football game, man. Last week was a little boring. You know, I like watching Drake May and Trevion Henderson at a great time, but this game, this point in the season, had some real stakes to it. Buffalo now 7-4. New England wins this weekend. You feel like they probably got the AFC East all but wrapped up. Houston 6-5 now. If Kansas City beats the Colts, Houston's 2 game back of Indy with still 2 games left to face Indy. That division's still pretty live. And Houston, I think they're still technically under a 50% shot to make the playoffs after this game, but they were going to fall into the 20% category. Now they're in the 40% category. And I think Houston's going to make a run, man. I certainly trust them more than I do Jacksonville at this point in time. The Chargers, who they face later this year, with that offensive line versus this defensive line, feels like that could potentially be a mismatch. So Houston, a team to be weary of and dangerous of for sure. If you want to see all my Week 12 predictions, that video is now live on the channel. If you love the NFL and you're not yet subscribed to this YouTube channel, I'd really appreciate it if you considered hitting that button. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the thumbs up button. Good for the algorithm, good for me to know you guys F with these kind of videos, and I will catch you next time. Peace.